Alright, back to do my TUF Finale picks, second video of the day, well, evening. Actually, I guess it's morning now. Time kind of flies when you aren't doing anything, actually, because really, I haven't been doing much all day. Alright, so the TUF Finale is coming up, the card has been released, all that I might. It's coming up on December 13th, that is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Let's start from the bottom, work our way up. We have Rolando Delgado, aka Rolly, versus John Buckets of Blood Polakowski. John is going to want to keep this standing. Rolly's going to want to take it to the ground. I think the key difference is John can probably enact that game plan. If he can deal with the reach of Rolly Delgado, I think he will win. I think it will be by unanimous decision. Rolly, his wrestling really needs work. I mean, his reach is good, but it's just both his striking and his wrestling terribly lacking. John, very small for the weight class. He has decent wrestling, training out of the pit with Chuck Liddell, and he has decent hands and decent kicks, but his ground game needs a lot of work, so this is really going to depend on who can control the fight, and I believe it will be John Polakowski. Shane Nelson, George Roop. George Roop, ultra tough, pretty good striker actually, unorthodox and lanky, which is hard to get used to. He is also pretty decent on the ground, it appears. Shane Nelson, good on the ground, good on the feet. He's the better wrestler of the two, which I think will allow him to possibly control this fight. I'm a little surprised they made this fight, because I thought George Roop was kind of a guy they were looking to build, maybe, just because he made the semifinals, and Shane Nelson is probably the best guy not in the finals. And that's, I think, going to be basically what happens here. I think Shane Nelson takes a unanimous decision because he's not a finisher. He's really not, which is ironic because he complained continuously about, Efren Escudero and his wrestling and a lay-in prayer, when Shane Nelson himself is really somewhat of a lay-in prayer. Just food for thought, though. Unanimous decision. Kyle Kingsbury, Tom Lawler. Kingsbury can win this fight if he can sprawl and brawl it. Basically, Tom Lawler is a better grappler and a decent striker. He's also a decent wrestler. Kingsbury is a pretty good defensive wrestler, and he's a better kickboxer than Tom Lawler is. In theory, I mean, until people go up against each other, you never quite know. But I mean, looking from fights of the past, what we know of these two guys, you give Kingsbury the advantage in striking. Kingsbury, though, has no ground game, completely none, which is stunning because he's out in California where there's so many top-notch schools that he could probably learn the art from, and it's a little disappointing that he hasn't done any of that yet. If Lawler can take him down, I think this fight ends pretty quickly, and I think that's the key difference. Is Tom Lawler, I think, can somewhat hang with Kyle Kingsbury on the feet, whereas I don't think Kingsbury can hang with Lawler on the ground at all. So I'm going to take Tom Lawler. I'm going to say by submission in the second round. Elliot Marshall, Jules Boucher, aka the Fire and Cottonmouth from the South. Bad nickname. Boucher, no professional fights. Really doesn't bring a lot to the table. Elliot Marshall brings a lot to the table. Elliot Marshall is a pretty good kickboxer. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and a fairly solid wrestler. Although Bader, clearly showed he was the better wrestler. That being said, I think Elliot can take Jules down if he wants. I think strike him. I think he can beat him in every aspect of this fight. And honestly, Elliot Marshall, by whatever he wants, I think it's in the first round. I'm gonna go with a submission, maybe after Elliot hurts Jules on the feet and proceeds to go down and maybe rear naked choke. So that's my 2 cents. Next, we have Krzysztof the Polish Experiment Sozinski versus Shane Prim. This is the last fight that we may not see. I'm taking Krzysztof in this fight, just a little bit better than Shane Prim in everything. I think Shane Prim is actually a younger version of Krzysztof in some ways, a less polished version of Krzysztof. I'm assuming he's younger. He's younger in career. I don't know if he's younger in actual age. I think he is, though. Krzysztof, better wrestling, better striking, better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think. Better in all aspects. I think he will want to keep this standing because, I mean, as you saw, he ran into problems with Phineas, and he tried to stand with Kyle Kingsbury, who had no ground game. So it is fairly safe to assume that he will probably look to stand with Shane Prim. I believe he wins this fight, and I don't really know how, though. I could possibly see a TKO, but it's hard to tell. We really don't know what Prim's chin's like, but I will kind of gamble on that. I will say a third round TKO for Krzysztof Sozinski. Next up, we have the main card, which starts off with Junie Allen Browning versus Dave Diamond Kaplan. Junie aptly is now nicknamed the Lunatic, which is good. 2-1 versus 3-1. Two of the better guys, potential-wise, because they both have a lot of physical skills and some technical skills. And Kaplan's technical skills are actually quite excellent. But both have one key problem, and that is both of them mentally are not sound fighters. They are stupid fighters, to be quite honest. Junie Allen Browning is his attempts to shoot an Efren Escudero were stupid. His giving free shots to Rolly Delgado was silly. He refused to dispel that he thought Rolly Delgado's black belt was worthless. He would not go to the ground with him. Just everything Junie did in the series leads me to believe he really should lose this fight just because of mentally. That being said, Kaplan has a terrible reach. You can use that against him. And he is living with Sean Tompkins and training with Extreme Couture, which are both good things. And Tompkins has not said negative. He says Tompkins has said that he himself was probably a worse child than Junie. So we'll see. Maybe Junie will come in and finally live up to the potential that Dana White saw and that I do see. But I'm going to take Kaplan just because I lack faith in Junie Browning. And I think it'll be by submission in the second round. Kaplan, I think, better cardio, better wrestling, better technical striking, I think, and better grappling. I think he's just better at everything. His only weakness is really going to be that reach. And he does actually have a decent chin, even though Tom Lawler knocked the crap out of him, and Felipe Nova did too. He's delusional about that chin, though. And that may cost him down the road. I just don't think Junie has the power to put him away. Next, we have a rematch between Kevin the Fire Burns. I note that they're not using the Fires as a name on UFC.com, though. And Anthony Rumble Johnson. I picked Johnson in the first fight, and I can't pick differently because the fight, although Kevin Burns won, came with the controversial Freddy Krueger eye poking. And, well, it's simple. There is a story behind that, though. Apparently the story is Kevin Burns had an injury and the UFC asked him to fight anyways and basically demanded it, and he could not make a fist with his one hand. It was an injury in here in the bone. He could not make a fist. So he poked Anthony Johnson in the eye repetitively, which negative impact on the UFC, because I mean, when a fighter's hurt in such a method that they can't make a fist, you should be willing to at least cover some medical costs. Not pay them for the fight per se, but at least, say, we understand, get yourself fixed up, and here's a little bit of money to do that. Maybe I'm crazy, but Anthony Johnson, better wrestler, better striker, should take this one. He fought very conservatively against Burns the first time, but I'm going to say TKO in the second round. Wilson Gouveia, Jason McDonald. This is going to be one at the weigh-ins. If Wilson Gouveia comes in shape, has a good weight cut, he should, by all means, destroy Jason McDonald. Better striker, better grappler, better wrestler. And that's all there is to it. But him past his cardio and his mental mindset and his coming in preparedness have been questioned, and questioned legitimately because of issues he's had. Jason McDonald, he's a steady fighter. He'll be ready. But I'm going to go with Wilson Gouveia. I'm going to say by rear naked choke. But that's a little surprising because McDonald's a submission specialist, but he doesn't have the great submission defense that you would kind of expect. Onwards to the finales, or the finals of the show itself. We have Ryan Darth Bader versus Vinicius Vinny Malhegas. Some of these nicknames are Megaleus, pardon me, are just really bad, though, the nicknames. Bader has the advantage on the feet and the advantage in the wrestling. If he can keep it on the feet, I think he really does beat Vinny. But I'm battling this because Vinny is willing to pull guard on Bader. Bader has to drill like there is no tomorrow getting out of the guard. When he pulls guard, throw him away or stand the hell up really quickly. I'm going to go against the grain and go with Ryan Bader. If he loses, I look like an idiot, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Bader by IUD. Felipe Nova, Efren Escudero. Felipe should probably just overpower Efren. Efren's a little bit small for the weight class, in my opinion. He's not the striker that Nova is. I think he's a better technical wrestler, but again, Nova's bigger, stronger. I think this fight will probably end on the ground because Efren seems to have a decent chin. It will will be by knockdown by Nover, pouncing and finishing with the TKO in the first round. Unfortunately, because I like Efren, and I would prefer that maybe Bader was more left side because I don't really like Vinny. So anyways, those are my thoughts, and